「 ぐにどこにいても待ってほしい青空を見ている私ひまわりのように咲き出し夏になりピカピカの太陽元気いっぱい笑顔の魔法青空を見ている私ひまわりのように咲き出
What use is a vault hunter? What use is a killer? A brute. A rule-breaking, loot-taking, running and gunning natural disaster. You are, in a word, mayhem. I take that personally.
Citywide curfew has been enacted. Violators will be shot on sight.
Heyo! I'm Randy Pitchford, founder of Gearbox Entertainment. Today, we're giving you our deepest look yet at Borderlands 4. All the excitement, loot, and gnarly carnage all running on PlayStation 5 Pro.
Since creating the looter-shooter genre nearly 16 years ago, we've continued to refine the formula, delivering better loot, greater freedom, and endless mayhem. And with Borderlands 4, we've pushed things even further.
This is hands down our best Borderlands ever. All new movement, abilities, bigger and badder enemies, and a brand new planet, all in service of making you feel like a total badass.
It's the perfect entry point for new players, with incredible new places and a great story. And for our longtime Borderlands fans, we're throwing back to our more grounded tone, while pushing gameplay ahead further than ever before. This is the culmination of years of hard work from my teammates across the Gearbox studios. So enough talk, let's get it. This is Borderlands 4.
Borderlands is an unforgiving sci-fi universe where life is cheap and guns are plentiful. You play as a vault hunter, a badass mercenary with powerful abilities called action skills.
Today I'm playing as Vex, our new siren. She wields supernatural phase energy to devastating effect. She can use that energy to empower herself, or channel it to conjure deadly minions that fight alongside her.
And because everything's better in co-op, I'm joining as Rafa, a former TDR soldier who wears an experimental exosuit. He can digistruct an arsenal of weapons, like the razor-sharp arc knives.
These are 2 of our 4 new Vault Hunters that you can play at launch.
Borderlands 4 takes place on Kairos, an all-new planet steeped in conflict. For thousands of years, the Timekeeper kept the planet hidden, controlling its inhabitants with bolts, cybernetic implants fused to their spines. Anyone who stepped out of line was brutally crushed by his army of synthetic soldiers known as the Order.
That is until 6 years ago when Elpis showed up. This rogue moon was teleported away from Pandora at the end of Borderlands 3 by the legendary Vault Hunter, Lilith. When it reappeared across the galaxy, it crashed into the protective veil around Kairos. The results were devastating. A planet-wide cataclysmic event that disrupted the Timekeeper's perfect order.
Now people all across Kairos have started rising up, some even ripping out their bolts, and chunks of their brain along with it.
Here it comes!
That's the situation our Vault Hunters have crash-landed into. A planet ready to explode, and you're the spark. As you explore, you'll meet a cast of incredible characters. Fan favorites return, like Zane and Moxie. You'll also meet new friends like Rush.
And as always, Claptrap is along for the ride.
Last but not least is Echo 4. This helpful drone follows you everywhere, hacking order tech, scanning the environment, and helping guide you to objectives. But enough of all that. Let's get into the game.
Thanks to our improved lobby system, it's easier than ever to join up with your friends on the fly. And with full crossplay at launch, you can play with your friends on any platform.
Today, we're venturing into Terminus Range, a frigid, mountainous region.
This is just one of the 4 zones on Kairos that you can seamlessly explore. There's next to no loading time, just endless looting and shooting mayhem.
For our current mission, we need to break into a secret black site located deep in the mountains. One of the Timekeeper's generals, Vile Lichter, has been conducting grotesque experiments on locals. It's up to us to stop him.
All right, let's get moving. Here I'm using Glide, one of our new movement abilities. Along with dash, double jump, climbing, and point grapple, these make getting around more fun and add a ton of utility to combat.
As you traverse, you'll uncover a vast and beautiful world. And to bring Kairos to life, we've introduced dynamic weather and events, so you constantly have new things to discover.
There's also plenty of local wildlife to contend with, like these Kratch, flying beasts who attack in flocks.
Here we've come across a silo, one of several new activities in Borderlands 4.
You'll naturally discover short gameplay experiences like this all across Kairos. There's no need to pick up a mission first. These are auto-granted and tracked on your HUD.
Silos house old, decommissioned order tech that you can hijack for the Crimson Resistance.
With the help of Echo 4, we'll hack into their network and release the communications balloon. Now that we're in charge, we can fast travel to the silo. And as a bonus, it's revealed the approximate location of a vault key fragment. We can collect these fragments to unlock a hidden vault, a high-level dungeon with challenging combat and serious loot.
Let's get after it. Another nice thing about silos is you can zip line up and take off. And if that's not fast enough for you, you can always pull out your personal vehicle, the Digirunner. Just hop on, hit boost, and get rolling.
You can customize the body, paint job, and even how it handles.
And because this is Borderlands, you best believe it has guns.
As you traverse, you'll encounter a host of dynamic events. From order patrols to world bosses, there's always something to shoot and loot.
All right, we're coming up on an order outpost. Let's see the new movement abilities in action.
Chaining our new traversal abilities together makes combat more dynamic than ever. You can dash in and out of melee attacks, dodge projectiles, or quickly reposition to gain an advantage.
Now I know that there's a vault fragment around here somewhere, but we've got a mission to get back to. Let's pull out Echo 4 to show us where to go.
We're meeting up with none other than the Tigra of Partali herself, Amara. She's a former vault hunter and exotic pet sitter from Borderlands 3. She came to Kairos in search of Lilith and is now helping us take down the Timekeeper.
Don't you whine at me, Hermes. We'll play in a moment, huh? Ugh, you agree to pet sit for a few weeks, and the next thing you know, you're having full conversations with animals.
You don't use security like that unless you've got something to hide. This must be the path to the black site.
Agreed. But if Lilith is on the other side, I don't mind some property destruction.
Ooh, your specialty! Please, be my guest.
Come, let's throw some light on this black site of his. This place is crawling with creeps. Clear them out.
Co-op has always been at the heart of Borderlands, and we've put a ton of work into making it better than ever. Our improved lobby was just the start. You can also set your own campaign difficulty independently of the rest of the party. This way, everyone can tune the experience to their liking.
And you don't have to worry about loot ninjas stealing your drops, as loot is always instanced for each player. Plus, if you ever get split up, you can easily fast travel to your friends.
And 2-player split screen returns so you can enjoy couch co-op. Regardless of how you play, we just want you to be able to hang with your buddies and have a great time.
Jim!
What the hell is that?
Heard the talking creep, right?
Tim feels like the product of Lichter's twisted mind. Another of his experiments. If he's doing this to creeps, I shudder to think what he's doing to Lilith. We need to get inside. That air vent. Let's check it out. Hermes is really creeped out in here. Not me, obviously. Hermes.
Now that we're in the black site, let's take a moment to talk about loot. In Borderlands 4, each piece of gear comes from one of 8 manufacturers with their own characteristics and trademarks. There's Jacobs, with crit-friendly black powder weapons, the elemental expertise of Maliwan, Vladoff, who solve lower accuracy with more bullets, the toss to reload Tedior, or Torg with explosions! We also have 3 new ones. The Order with powerful charge and release blasts, fully auto rippers, and the reliable, easy-to-use Daedalus, which can use multiple ammo types.
But that's just the start. We've introduced an all-new licensed parts system. This allows for behaviors and abilities from multiple manufacturers to spawn in a single weapon. For instance, this flat-off assault rifle features a Torg mag, Hyperion shield, and a Maliwan elemental switch, meaning it shoots fast and explodes things. The higher the rarity, the more parts that can randomly spawn, creating wilder and wilder loot.
And that's before even getting into alt-fire modes, underbarrels, and elemental damage.
The possibilities are truly endless.
To support playing with your favorite manufacturer, we've added enhancements. This new type of gear replaces artifacts and provides bonuses to specific manufacturers. Take my current enhancement. It adds a kill bonus to all guns with Daedalus parts, along with more reload speed and critical damage. This lets you min-max your build around your favorite manufacturer, immediately turning just okay guns into amazing weapons.
Finally, we've heard your feedback, and we've overhauled our drop rates and loot across the game. We've worked hard to make sure all our gear feels better than ever, while also making rarity matter again. This makes for our most satisfying loot chase ever. And at the top of everything are legendaries. These have always had unique effects that you won't find on any other piece of gear. But in Borderlands 3, they drop too often. This not only devalued legendaries, it made everything feel less valuable. In our new system, not only do all guns feel great, but now legendaries will truly be special events. We've added the magic back to our loot chase, and we know you'll love grinding all that great gear on Kairos.
But let's get back to combat so I can show you my favorite thing, Ordnance. This is the new gear slot for grenades and heavy weapons like rocket launchers. Instead of taking up a gun slot and ammo, Ordnance now has cooldown timers. No more saving the big guns for boss fights. Now you can blow stuff up as often as you want.
Before we go further, let's talk a little bit about action skills. Every Vault Hunter has a set of 3 unique action skills. These are class-defining abilities with devastating effects. Up until now, I'd been using Incarnate to deliver powerful phase blasts. But let's switch it up to Phase Familiar and pull out Trouble. As you can see, each action skill has its own branching skill tree, giving you more build freedom than ever before. On top of passive skills, you can further customize action skills with augments and capstones. These are socketed enhancements that add new behaviors and functions to your action skill.
Different builds completely change how combat plays out, resulting in near endless freedom to experiment. You can swap unlock augments or capstones on the fly, or completely respec your skill trees at hubs around Kairos.
This gives us a chance to talk about traits. Each Vault Hunter has a unique passive ability called a trait. For Vex, her action skills attune to the element of her equipped weapon. So by swapping guns, I can change Trouble's damage from kinetic to shock, fire, or any other elemental type.
And also, you can pet the cat.
Dead end. Or is it? Let's see where this vent takes us. Gods. Are those test tubes?
Down, but thankfully our fight for your life mechanic makes a return. Of course, I could have avoided it in the first place if I had just used my ref kit. This new piece of gear provides health and other buffs, like temporarily boosting my elemental damage, rate of fire, or movement speed.
I'm almost afraid to ask what's in the tube.
Oh, look at these guys. Are those crystals growing out of them?
By the way, if you're looking to experience the story again or just grind for loot, we've added full mission and boss replay. That's right, no more save loading to run bosses. Now you can return to the arena and use Moxie's big encore machine to spawn another run.
But we'll talk more about endgame later. For now, let's jump ahead and show you something truly badass. In Borderlands 4, our bosses are bigger and better than ever, putting all your new skills, gear, and abilities to the ultimate test.
Whoa, spoilers! That's enough of that for now. But we look forward to showing you much more this June at our first hands-on gameplay event.
And from everyone at Gearbox, thank you for joining us.
Beyond and hello and welcome to a very special episode of IGN's weekly PlayStation show. I'm your host Max Scoville, and if you're just joining us live, you caught Sony's State of Play all about Borderlands 4, and if you're watching or listening to this after the fact, well, we just watched the Borderlands 4 State of Play, and we're going to talk about it now, plus a bunch of other news about Ghost of Yotei and the Until Dawn movie. But here to join me to talk about it, Nick Maillet and Jada Griffin. What's up, everybody? How's it going?
Hey, don't forget my kid's here. He's here. He's watching. He's waiting. He's waiting.
That? You've got your Borderlands mask standing by for any people.
That is my child.
Your
that
child?
Is my child, Max.
Okay,
Show
so
him the modicum of respect he deserves.
Clearly, you have some expectations for Borderlands. You two are both seasoned Vault Hunters. I'm curious what you made of this. What's your read on Borderlands 4? Are you excited? Are you surprised? Are you let down? Nick, let me hear what you think.
Yeah, I am excited for sure. We were saying this when we were watching it. It feels like they took some of the best parts of Destiny and added it to Borderlands, and it looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm glad that local co-op is back because that's something that I definitely want to try out with the next one. But yeah, I'm sold. Simple as that.
Jada, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I've been keeping my eye on this one. This has definitely been on my radar since it was announced. And I really like the new mobility tools that they've given us in this one. Although I do feel like the sliding mechanic feels a little slow compared to some other games. Like, I remember when this is, super old, but playing Vanquish, when you could like slide across the ground with like jets and stuff attached to your legs, like felt so quick. And there's so many other games that have what looks to be faster mobility than this. Like, maybe the footage wasn't showing it at its full speed. I don't know yet, but I really like the aspect that they're at least adding more mobility options to kind of help make the game feel a little bit faster paced.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with demos like this is they are carefully rehearsed and very much planned ahead, and so it wouldn't surprise me one bit if they were just slowing things down a bit so people could take in the action and it's not just this kind of frantic mosh pit of stuff happening. But I do see your point there. It seems like they've done a lot with traversal. I guess I'm curious, sort of compared to how Borderlands 3 was received. This very much seems like they are kind of listening to feedback on previous games and kind of trying to course correct and make good. What jumped out at you as like the biggest change here?
Go ahead, Nick. Yeah, please.
I was going to say the humor. My problem with 3, especially, is that it was so in your face, like very like just way too many jokes, way too much. Everything had to be funny and goofy. And I just noticed with this, it was definitely toned down. And that is something they said in the beginning. So I'm looking forward to that because that's one part of the game that I just could not get into, especially with Borderlands 3, is that it was just a little bit too much as far as like the goofy and the silliness goes.
I think the goofiness and silliness is fine because that's very on brand for Borderlands. And that's kind of what the fans kind of come to expect. I think they just missed the mark when it came to the writing and the timing for the goofiness and silliness in Borderlands 3. I think that was the biggest thing because, you go back to something like Borderlands 2, which is lauded as the best story for the Borderlands series, in my opinion, and many others. But it had tons of humor and tons of jokes constantly. So I don't think it was the issue of how much was in 3. I don't think it was as high a quality level. And I think that's what turned a lot of people off from that. But the gameplay stuff that they added in 3 definitely helped make it a little bit better. As for me, I think the thing that kind of stood out was it's a toss-up between how much of this game looks like it has borrowed elements from other things. Like we saw your personal vehicle, which is like your Sparrow in Destiny. They saw you kind of grappling and like ziplining up, which was kind of screaming Apex Legends for me, as well as like, then flying down to your next destination. That is kind of weighing on me. And then also the change to the loot. I don't know how I feel about it yet because they said that people were complaining about too many legendary drops in 3 and that it kind of affected the it made it not feel as special, which I can understand that point, but I just hope we're not going back to the days of fighting like hundreds and hundreds of things for one legendary weapon, hoping that we get that one, god roll that we're looking for in a weapon. And with all the new weapon stuff, like I would honestly like more legendary drops this time around. Like not more than 3, but like the same amount, if not maybe tuned down a little bit. So I think it's all going to matter with how that's been tuned.
Yeah, I agree with that. As long as you don't have to loot. As long as you don't have to just like grind to get good guns, then that's fine. I hope they found like a good balance between the two, because I don't want to spend, 6 hours trying to get one thing and then find out, I don't really like it that much.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny you make the Destiny comparison, because this just recently had its release date moved up from September 23rd up to September 12th, which it awkwardly was kind of on the same release date as Paragon. And it's sort of funny to see, Bungie is shifting gears into a totally different kind of game. They're doing an extraction shooter. Meanwhile, Gearbox has always done a looter shooter. There's similar DNA there, but I feel like as in its winter years, Destiny was definitely getting a little goofier, a little bit more over the top and colorful. Meanwhile, here's Borderlands kind of scaled back a little bit. So I could very easily see, maybe some disenfranchised, Bungie fans who bounce off of Paragon, maybe latching onto this instead. I feel like just in terms of sort of the movement and the space, it has a kind of a similar vibe. And again, I'm not particularly partial to Destiny or Borderlands, but it kind of immediately jumped out at me how much it kind of looks like that in action. As for the comedy side of things, I think it's interesting to see Gearbox responding to that sentiment that the games got too goofy, because I think there's always been comedy in these games. I always remember hearing like they're surprisingly funny, because like you sign up for a shooter and then you're like, oh god, the robot's really funny. He's got some good chops there. And then it kind of got more and more self-aware. Like it got kind of, you get like Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Like it gets just more and more kind of overt and on the nose and kind of in on the joke. And it feels almost like parallel to what happened with Saints Row, where like originally it was like semi-grounded, but you were surprised at how funny it was. And then it was like, oh, I'm funny. And it just kind of kept, getting more and more leading into the comedy, which, comedy is hard. It's not always for everybody. And for people who kind of signed up for one thing and got increasingly more of another thing, I can see how they might, that they might resent that. But I mean, even looking at this game in action, there's still like, Claptrap's still there. There's like a store called, Thirst Scrap. There's like a enemy just named Tim who comes out. Like there's still humor in there, but it feels, noticeably restrained compared to some of the other stuff we've seen in recent years.
I think another thing we've got to talk about is the UI. The UI, I'm hoping it's not a final draft of the UI that, we've still got, 4 or 5 months till this releases. I'm hoping there is going to be some adjustments to it, because it doesn't scream Borderlands to me. It's very un-Borderlands for the UI. And I don't think it's like a terrible like trash UI, but I think that it needs some of that Borderlands flair that we've gotten in the past, and I think that's what it's missing. I do like the menu, like when they went into the menus and were messing with the skills. I think that UI was fine, but like the HUD UI kind of was throwing me off a little bit. It was like pulling my eye to it instead of the gameplay, which is your HUD shouldn't be distracting you from what's going on screen. How about you guys? You guys feeling that one? Like.
It just feels like when they first showed it, I was just like, where have I seen this before? And then it's just every game ever. It's not that exciting.
Yeah, it's just kind of, it feels, what's the word for it? It feels too tame. It feels like it's just been it feels bland, I guess. So it's kind of my thing. So.
Well, I guess that's just sort of the worry here, is that what happens if Borderlands overcorrects and becomes too serious. Like I remember kind of hearing that the original plan for these games was to make this kind of quasi post-apocalyptic space shooter thing that's grimy and gritty and has all this wasteland action, and it was going to look realistic. And then Fallout 3 came along. I don't know how accurate this is, but then they were like, what do we do? And they were like, let's make it cel shaded, and that became its sort of defining characteristic. And even just looking at this in action, like it's still cel shaded, but if you take a step back, it's less apparent. Like it's got a lot more detail. It feels a lot less, it's still colorful, but just in I guess different measures, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's definitely tamed down a little bit.
Just overall. And like keep in mind, this is still just a very like small peek at what they have coming for us. I'm sure once they said they have a summer kind of play session that's coming up, and I imagine it's probably gonna be like Summer of Games or something like that. I'm very, very interested to get my hands on this and play more of this, because I've put countless hours into 1, 2, 3 and pre-sequel. And I love the chase for loot. I love grinding for those weapons and killing bosses over and over again. So I'm glad they're making that also a little bit easier for people like me who like to know life in the game, trying to get that god roll. There's a lot of really cool stuff in this. I'm happy Amara is coming back. She was my siren in 3 that I played, and we got a new goth mommy siren. I forget what was her name. Vax, I think they said was her name. I missed her name.
With the bat wings?
Yeah, it's Vax.
Vax. So like, yeah, she looks awesome. And I mean, look, you get to pet her little familiar. You got her little kitty cat that you can get sick on people to just rip them to shreds. It's great. Like I'm very much looking forward to this. I want to see more, and and see what they're actually talking about, that they're showcasing in this little trailer, because I think they did a very top of the line kind of like, here's all the things that are coming in Borderlands, but didn't really dive deep enough into anything to give the community and their fan base the answers that they're really looking for in these things. Like, they explained like all of the weapons manufacturers, which great for people who may be playing their first Borderlands games. Anybody who's been playing for a while knows what these ones are. I would have loved to like known what's new in these weapon manufacturers. What new things are those manufacturers bringing to the table this time around?
Yeah, that's the challenge with a presentation like this about a game like this, is that you're trying to make, you're trying to get the attention of, new players and sort of former players who've drifted away, and also, the hardcore fan base, and you're trying to kind of talk to everybody at once. And obviously this is Gearbox filtered through PlayStation proper, which always kind of changes the tone a little bit. Like, I feel like that is that looked like Randy Pitchford at a job interview. Like, that was definitely the most kind of reined in I've seen him in a cool minute. So like all of that felt very.
That shirt was not helping.
I don't know what was going on there. I mean, he's always got some interesting shirts, but that was, it's clearly these things are all very manicured and rehearsed, and you get a good sense of what the game is, but it's very kind of clinical. It's like, this is the nutrition facts almost, and presumably later on we're gonna get a better sense of this. I'm sure they'll probably do like a. Maybe they'll do a beta or something like that. Let people get their hands on it. But yeah, I mean, it's again, these games have pretty deep systems in them. I mean, maybe not deepest in terms of what they are. It's you're shooting stuff and finding stuff. But like, people are going to pick it apart and find the things that work and don't work. But it's because of that, there's obviously a lot of stuff to fine tune. And the loot thing is fascinating to me, because like, they're like, we heard you complained that there were too many treats in Borderlands 3, and because there were too many treats, they stopped being treats, and now we're making them treats again by having less of them, which is like, I understand it, I get it. You want it more of a challenge to get like legendary stuff, but it's it's an odd thing to put front and center for anybody who's like, if you're trying to attract someone new, it's like you got to work your ass off to get a cool gun. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it was a little weird to follow that point up with like, anyway, so here's how you can make all your other guns really good and amazing. So, not really sure. I get that like legendary guns are going to be harder to get now, but I kind of got the vibe that they're sort of saying any gun you have, you can turn it into the gun you're going to play the entire game with. I don't know, they could have done a better job at explaining all of that.
I do really like the change to ordnance, though. I think that's a really exciting thing for Borderlands. I really like this new aspect of changing how that kind of plays. Because there was a lot of times I know in previous games where my grenade, whatever I had in my grenade mod, I'd run out of grenades and I'd be like, okay, well, I've got that's my heal. I have like my heal leech off of my grenades. So, but I'm out of those, about to run into a boss. Guess I'll go. I mean, most of the time they had vending machines, so you could restock them before bosses. So it wasn't too big of a deal. But sometimes, you're running long stretches and you just would be out of them, especially if you didn't have the drops.
The new changes here is on a cool. It's on a cooldown.
It's on a cooldown now, I think they're expanding it beyond. They're expanding it beyond grenades. Like we saw Vax with the look like a dual rifle cannon type of thing. I remember what they called it, but That looked really cool. So I'm really excited to see what those ordinances look like, because I think that's the one thing that Borderlands does best, and the developers do best, is the creativity when it comes to their weapons. Whether it's, we saw the gun with legs walking around, the TDR throwing your weapons to reload where they explode. There's a lot. They're really good about that. And that's like my favorite. I think that's my favorite element of the Borderlands games, just how crazy and creative they get with their weapons.
Yeah, it's always kind of been the jam. The cooldown thing feels especially tailored to people playing casually in co-op. I'm always kind of less inclined to be interested in cooldown stuff, because I especially with like a gun, because you're like, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't have rechargeable ammo. That doesn't make. But again, this is not a game about realism, so what am I talking about? But they mentioned repeatedly, like, they want this to be a game where people can hang out and have a good time, and it seems like there's been, like, it's got crossplay from day one. It's got couch co-op. It sounds like they've tried to really streamline drop in, drop out, which is great, because I know that the big appeal of a lot of Borderlands is just the casual or the social aspect of it, and just playing with other people. And they repeatedly were like, we want to make it easy for you to blow up shit with your friends. So, good on them for that. I think that's endearing.
Yep, and they said crossplay coming at launch, which is good. So you can play with your friends regardless of console, which is great. As those lines continue to blur, I think it's all the better for those games to lean into that. And I'm looking at chat now. It looks like her name might have been Vex, not Vax. Sorry, y'all.
Good. There's a lot of anti-vaxxers out there, so Vex is probably better choice these days.
Probably.
Wrote it wrong in my notes.
It's all good. I mean, hey, we're going live off the cuff, so There you go, chat. You're heard.
One thing I want to touch on, though, did you guys have anything else you wanted to mention about the state of play?
I think they did a good job.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was a very good showing. Like I said, I just want to know more. That I wish I would have got to see more of the second character that they showed off, that they announced. That would have been really cool. But hey, there's plenty of time till September, so more time for them to do more little one-off live streams, trailer drops of character-specific abilities and stuff like that. So.
But you're feeling cautiously optimistic? You think you're ready for another Borderlands?
I don't think there's any cautiousness about it. I think I'm optimistic about it. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to hit the mark for what we are hoping out of a Borderlands game. It's just a matter of the unknown quantities that we still don't know about it yet. That's really the only thing that could make or break it in the long run.
Sure. Nick, what about you?
Yeah, when it was first announced, was that a Gamescom? I think I was just kind of like, okay, Borderlands, I'm sure I'll play it within a year of it releasing. And the more we've seen, and especially after today, I'm definitely going to check it out right when it comes out, just because it looks like they have corrected a few of the things I didn't like with 3, and they are making the game more accessible and easy. Easy is not the right word, but like if I want to play co-op with someone who's
more
not
approachable,
great at shooters, that's a better way. I like that each individual player can change their difficulty level, and it doesn't make it to where I'm just carrying someone that's not very good at shooters, or vice versa. If I'm playing with someone who's way better than me at Borderlands, they're not just calling back and carrying me along. So it just seems like it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and instance loot is great. That means no more fighting over weapon drops with your friends. Everybody gets your own luck is determines what loot you get. So I know I'll be
they touched on that, but
the legendary weapons,
the sort of individualized difficulty, like each player playing co-op can tailor the difficulty to their own standards, and I'm like curious how that works exactly in practice. But it's a nice idea, and instant loot makes it so that everyone, it's like Oprah, everyone gets a gun. I guess that's not what she does in Oprah, but
I don't think Oprah ever gave those away, Max.
Give it a couple years.
I could be wrong, but I don't think those were ever under chairs.
I saw that episode.
Now, this thing I do want to touch on, this is the date change is very amusing to me because again, moving a game's release date forward a couple weeks is pretty common. Moving it up a few weeks is sort of unusual. And they announced that it's getting bumped from the 12th of September to the 23rd, or 23rd to the 12th, which not a huge jump, but still kind of like, okay, if it's not a huge jump, then why bother? Randy Pitchford went on Twitter and said, Borderlands 4 shipping early is 100% the result of confidence in the game and development trajectory backed by actual tasks and bug find/fix rates. Our decision is literally 0% about any other product's actual or theoretical launch date, which I'm skeptical. I feel like 0% is generous there. You know, like that seems just kind of a... I mean, the two big things there is, one, it is the same release date as Marathon, which is a similar game. It is a co-op focused, brightly colored shooter. You know, there's definitely a sort of oval Venn diagram of people who'd be interested in both those things. And you know, having to share that is probably tricky. It's also funny that Borderlands 4 has clearly aligned itself with PlayStation. We just saw a state of play about this, and they're also publishing Marathon. So like, I wonder what that dynamic is. The other thing is that Borderlands is published by 2K, which is owned by Take-Two, which is the company that makes GTA. And the big question on everyone's mind this year is, when is GTA 6 coming out? So a lot of people are like, that means it's coming out around then, and they want to just steer clear of it. And I don't know. What do you think about this? I mean, this is tinfoil hat territory, but Nick, do you think this is a Marathon move or a GTA move or neither of the above?
I think it's a GTA move. If it's the same publisher, you know, they don't want to cannibalize Borderlands, because it definitely will be with GTA. I've said this around the office a few times. I still think GTA is going to come out on Halloween because it's a Friday.
That's an interesting leap to jump to. I respect it, though. I respect it. I don't know. I think, is it plausible that they've moved it forward because GTA is planning a release in, say, October, and so they want to give Borderlands, get out of the way of that? You know, I'm sure there are more, you know, trade secrets that are shared internally between their company heads than they're going to ever release worldwide. But I think, you know, I think it's just a product. I think they've just been working on this one longer than we probably expected, and they've probably been having some good results when it comes to internal play tests, builds and such like that, and just testing and adding new features. I feel like they're probably in the polished state at this point for the most part, so they can reliably say that, hey, we're good to move up the release date a couple weeks because we can get it out even sooner. I also don't know what their fiscal quarters look like, so maybe they're trying to reach for that, because we all know that companies answer to shareholders and such, and moving a game up shows confidence to their shareholders so that they can make more money and be happy about that. Not that stuff should matter when it comes to grading how good a game is going to be, but we all know, we live in this world, we know that's a factor when it comes to game development nowadays, unfortunately.
It's funny because, like, in addition to GTA, which is all anyone's talking about, 2K has, or Take-Two has a pretty big year or whatever they line up in the works. Like they've got Borderlands 4, which is a known quantity. There's also Mafia: The Old Country, and there's also Judas, and those are both supposedly coming out this year. I think Mafia was supposedly slated for summer. That is in about 20 minutes. I don't know. Like Judas was, I think at one point they were saying that it was going to come out in March 2025, which was last month, and it didn't come out. So like, again, these things could all be getting shuffled around behind the scenes. It's weird to juggle that stuff. And it's you know, big ships are hard to steer, but like, there was, you know, we had a write-up about the release date change for Borderlands on IGN, and we had some industry expert being like, you don't announce a release date and then move it up 2 weeks unless you don't have to do that. Like if you got marketing materials out there and everyone has it in their calendars, it's kind of a pain in the ass for everyone involved to do that. Like if you need to push it 2 weeks because you need to change things, that's understandable. But to be like, everything's going great, we're going to move it up, it's like, just sit on it for 2 weeks, you know, unless there's something massive coming out around then anyway, and you need to give it some wiggle room. So we'll have to wait and see. Now let's move on to some other stuff. Before we get into that, As you may have heard, IGN Live is coming to downtown Los Angeles June 7th and 8th. It is a second year of IGN's in-person event. And today, April 30th, if you're watching this live or watching it immediately, is the last day you can get tickets for just $15 before they go up in price in the month of May. So depending on when you're watching this, you may have already missed your chance. But either way, please come hang out with us in downtown LA for an exciting live show all weekend long. We're going to interview some awesome people behind the latest games, movies, shows, all that good stuff. We're going to hold some cool panels, give away tons of prizes, like a ridiculous amount of prizes, and there's also going to be gaming stations, arcades, and spots to hang out, plus snacks, so it's going to be a good time. You can expect to see 2K Sports, Netflix, Arcade 1UP, and a whole bunch of others making an appearance, so head to ign.com/live and grab your tickets. And if it is still the month of April when you are hearing me say this, you can grab early bird tickets for just $15. So jump on that now if you haven't already. Now, let's talk about some other big
so I can
games.
throw some free stuff at you.
Jada is dying to throw things at people, and
I threw out so much free stuff. I think I hit somebody in the head with like a stuffed sheep last year, not intentionally, but it just happened. They weren't looking when I threw it, so it happens. You know.
I feel like is that the opposite of banning somebody in chat? Is in person throwing a present at them?
Yes, maybe. I mean, they were more attentive afterwards because they ended up grabbing like 3 or 4 more things I threw out in the crowd. I threw out so much stuff last year.
Good. I mean, yeah, there's going to be some fun prizes. It's also just it's a wonderful fun time. So that'll be cool. Okay, so big news that of course dropped last week about an hour after we recorded is that Ghost of Yotei has a release date. It is coming out on October 2nd on PlayStation 5.
There we go.
There it is. It got a brand new trailer, which rips. This game looks gorgeous. It looks very sick. We already knew that. This is not surprising. It also looks a lot like Assassin's Creed Shadows. And we knew that, but like, yeah, it's kind of similar beats, you know?
Here we go. This is why they moved Borderlands up, because Ghost of Tsushima is first week of October and Borderlands was the end of September. They pushed it up because of Ghost of Tsushima. They got scared of Ghost of Yotei, excuse me. It's not the reason. I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, this trailer's cool, but yeah, Max, like you said, it is outrageous how almost beat for beat it is to Assassin's Creed Shadows. And I think it's going to still be a great game, and I think it's going to do a lot of interesting, unique things that Shadows doesn't do. But man, 2 revenge family dying revenge tales set in, you know, similar eras, kind of like, you know,
the
game industry is known for jumping on a trend and doing it, but I wasn't expecting it to be this almost identical.
Well, it's only the hottest trend of 2001's best Tarantino movie Kill Bill. Like, again, this is not like, this is a kind of a, you know, samurai movie trope. Like, this is a thing that's been done in a bunch of classic, you know, samurai cinema, so it's understandable that they would be borrowing from that. It's what Tarantino did for Kill Bill. And so, like, again, similar DNA. Like, it's, you know, we could also just be like, they have the same sword. It's the same game, but like, it's, you know, similar beats. That said, like, you know, and again, it's not fair to compare the two at all, because like,
no,
yeah, what, like you know, Shadows was made by like 6,000 people or something like that, and you know, Sucker Punch is like 200. Like, it's a very small studio by comparison, and there's. Yeah, I mean, they're different beasts. So I'm still like, I think I'm more excited for this one specifically because it is not an Assassin's Creed game, and Assassin's Creed games are kind of a known quantity to a certain degree. They also, like, I feel like they have way more of an emphasis on both their own lore and on history. Like, they really kind of hammer on that, like, oh, we got like historical accuracy, and like Ghost of Tsushima didn't really feel like it ever did that. Like, it's always been like, they did their homework, obviously, but they're not beating you over the head with it. Nick, what do you think about all this?
I am so distracted by the trailer right now because everything looks so good in this game. And as much as I loved Assassin's Creed, I know that just visually I am waiting for this one because it's just eye candy, you know, and that's what's going to sell it to me. Obviously not for everybody. I can imagine this game is going to play a bit better than Assassin's Creed because Ghost of Tsushima played really well and it was super fun. But it is unfortunate that the story is really similar, you know. It's also like a tale as old as time, anyways. So I don't know. By October, I think I'll be ready for it.
Yeah, like, I mean, don't get me wrong. This is probably my most anticipated game of this year. Like, I'm very excited for Yote. I loved Tsushima, and I'm very excited for what those wizards over at Sucker Punch put together, because they are just that. They're wizards. They put magic use magic to bring, numbers and coding to life, into these amazing games.
I thought you were going to be like, I'm very excited to see what those wizards in this game are up to. And I was going to be like, Jada, those aren't wizards. They're samurai.
There's wizards, Max. They are.
Sword wizards.
Sword wizards.
Sword wizards.
No, I mean, it's going to have a ridiculous amount of polish because it is a first party Sony game. And I'm excited about that because, like, again, these are always, they're always tech demos to a certain degree. Like, it's always just like, let's see what a PlayStation does. And this thing is going to look absurdly good on a PS5 Pro. So that's going to be, I mean, not that AC Shadows didn't, but there's a kind of, again, there's a kind of sameness that comes with Ubisoft stuff. Like, it's got a frequently a similar feel, and it's, it's a known quantity, so to speak. And I think Shadows was better than a lot of people were expecting. I really loved it. But yeah, I mean, one thing that Tsushima had going for it is that at the time, that was definitely the furthest that, Assassin's Creed had veered from what people kind of associated with that as a game. They're like, you're a Viking now, and also it's an action RPG, which, they'd done a couple action RPGs at that point, but it was so like, it's just...
It didn't feel very Assassin's Creed-like.
You're like, what's the furthest thing from like a stealth game with parkour is like you're in a big field hitting someone in the face with an axe, which was literally the reveal for that game. So like I can see, Tsushima came along and was like, hey, what if they did an Assassin's Creed in feudal Japan? Oh, what if we did? And it's, it definitely was like streamlined compared to what some of the, AC games were doing. But like that, I don't mean that in a bad way at all. I think a lot of people really enjoyed that about it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But yeah, I'm very excited for this. And like you said, Max, Assassin's Creed is very much more of a known quantity. And Yote, we still don't know a whole lot of what to expect gameplay wise, other than we know we get the little wolf companion, and obviously we'll have probably a good chunk of the ghost skills returning from Tsushima. But I'm very excited to be surprised by what new stuff they put in Yote, because I like I said, I think there's going to be some really cool stuff in this one.
What do you want? What's the thing you would make you the most excited about it?
Ooh, what would I like most? Man, I don't even know. Because Tsushima had such great, like, it covered so many grounds of things. So I guess bringing back some of the best things that Tsushima did, the duels and such, the great use of the tools. Trying to think what they haven't done that I would like to see. I guess just more weapon types is kind of the big thing for me. Assassin's Creed Shadows kind of beat them to the Kusarigama, because I always love using a Kusarigama in the few games that ever make it as a usable weapon. So I guess just more weapon types would be something that would be kind of interesting for me. Maybe give me like a bow staff or something like that. Some sort of blunt for when I'm doing my non-lethal takedowns. That way I can, have a weapon for that maybe. I don't know. Something along those lines.
Nick?
I agree with Jada. As long as they improve on the last game, I'll be more than happy. So October can't come soon enough.
Some kind of like variation on the Kurosawa mode would be really cool. I just don't know what that is. Like I think I think maybe it was Brian saying this about Shadows, but like if there was a way to just make it look like a grainy, like high contrast, like 70s, like kung fu movie, like that could have been really cool. They didn't do that, but that's fine. Like I don't know what the kind of upgrade from Kurosawa mode would even be, but like I'm excited to see what they try. But really, I mean, like we know it's going to be a big, huge, gorgeous, sprawling open world with tons of stuff to do. But I think the thing that would really sell me on Ghost of Yote is if you had a motorcycle and a backwards hat and you were looking for your dead wife, which is my segue to talking about Days Gone Remastered, which Jada has been playing.
Oh man, I did not see that was the segue we're going with that one. Yeah, so I've booted up the remastered just over the last weekend and played for, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6 hours so far. And this game didn't really stick with me the first time I played it. It was It was fine. It was a very, very, okay open world freaker game. They were very specific. They're not zombies, they're freakers. And I liked it, but obviously there was some issues at launch, and so I ended up revisiting it, a couple years later down the line. It was better. I gotta say, this time around, it's actually clicking with me. I don't know what is different about this PS5 remastered version, but it's actually working for me. I don't know if I'm just in a different headspace or I'm approaching it differently than how I played it previously. I'm playing on Survival 2 difficulty, which means no fast travel, no vision mode or anything like that. And so I've been approaching it kind of similar to how I play Last of Us, as strangely enough, where I'm just like sneaking up and stealth killing as many enemies as possible, and limiting like my weapon use, minus when giant hordes come after you. Obviously, then you all hell breaks loose. That's when you throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at them. But the smaller, slower paced sections that I can kind of sneak around while destroying the nests and such, I'm enjoying playing that a little bit, like kind of slower paced. It's obviously going to take me longer to get through the game like this, but I am enjoying it more now, which is kind of crazy. I didn't expect that to be on my list for 2025, that I was enjoying Days Gone.
Are you playing it on a PS5 Pro by chance?
Just the standard PS5. I didn't upgrade yet. It hasn't been the killer app that has made me want to upgrade yet. But it still looks good.
I did the graphics comparison video that went up last week at IGN, and on the PS5 Pro, it doesn't really look that different between all the modes. Quality looks a little better, but it's very targeting 30 frames per second. So yeah, it's a pretty game, but it's definitely not worth buying a PS5 Pro for if anybody out there was going to do that.
No, that's a good shout.
Yeah.
I will say the new, I don't know how new they are, but they added new, like I was able to play like the challenge mode, and then they have like the arcade, like an arcade mode that they've added. Those are actually a lot of fun. I was just kind of jumped in. It did come with a little bit of like spoiler stuff, because there's like, oh, this weapon is in the game, I haven't gotten to this yet, or this character, I haven't met this character yet. But just being able to jump in and run from a horde and try to survive as long as possible. A lot of fun. There was like one, I was in a like log house and like a cabin, and I was trying to I just had to survive for, I think it was like 3 minutes, and wave after wave, it felt like I was playing Call of Duty Zombies solo, but much, much more difficult and a lot more fun, because it was way more chaotic and hectic, until the moments of getting completely swarmed and just dogpiled on by these like World War Z like zombies, because that's their behavior pattern. Like if you've watched that movie, like that's how the freakers kind of act. For those who haven't played Days Gone.
Okay, so I want to hear more about the arcade mode, because here's the thing. I don't love this game. I specifically don't love the characters or the vibe. I think the game itself is cool. Like I like the idea of riding around on a motorcycle and shooting zombies. I'm not calling them freakers. I don't care what anyone says. But like the idea of jumping into an open world game and shooting zombies and screwing around, like that sounds really fun to me. And the thing that always sucks about revisiting an open world game, especially when it gets like a remaster, whatever, is that there's usually that sort of perfunctory 3-hour tutorial that it throws at you. And that's the thing stopping me from checking this out. How does the arcade stuff work? Is it like mercenaries or zombies, or is it like full on open world?
So you just kind of you kind of join in, you just jump in. There is, I'm probably going to mix these up, but there's an arcade mode where essentially you pick a character and it just kind of throws you into the world, and then you get some like cooldown. There's like a timer for like when waves will spawn and come after you, but you're exploring the world, and there's like objectives, like get to your bike is the first objective. Then you get to your bike, and it's like reach the supply chest. And while you're doing this, waves are coming after you. There's different like challenges that'll pop up. It's like kill 10 zombies in a horde with a Molotov. And so like you're crafting Molotovs on the fly and throwing them in the horde as that wave's attacking you, and you get rewarded with bonus materials and stuff to like help extend your run. And you kind of rank up as you in between each run. So after you finish a run, you'll like your reputation will grow, and then you can spend that. It unlocks like different perks and stuff you can equip, or different characters will unlock at different reps. I think like the final reputation level is like shirtless. Oh my goodness, I can't even remember the main character's name right now.
Deacon St. John, darn it.
Deacon, thank you.
Deacon
I want to
Days
say
Gone.
Cole. I wanted to say Cole, but because my brain has been on Infamous for this last week. But yeah, Deacon. You get like shirtless Deacon is like the max reputation
Duke
unlock.
St. Nukem.
So...
I do get it mixed
But,
up with John St. John, who's the voice of Duke Nukem, but yeah.
There you go. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. And then they have they have challenge mode, which is very specific challenges, such as there was one that was like, get to the finish line on your motorcycle within, X time limit. And then there's challenges like get enough airtime, run over enough zombies, boost for long enough. And you're driving through gates and stuff. So that's like one of the challenge stages. There's other ones that are just purely survive as long as you can. There's ones where survive till time limit. There's one for kill X amount of zombies. There's a lot of really cool stuff in that. And those unlock different perks, such as,
are they, so wait, hold on.
Health.
Are they, I guess in terms of how this is structured, is it anywhere in the open world? Is it like more sort of cordoned off areas? Is it a little bit of both?
Basically, you choose this mode from the main menu before you load into the game, and then it literally loads you into the challenge mode is built maps and such. So like there's one at like a sawmill that you're at.
How does it compare to RE4 Mercenaries?
More chaotic for sure. I'd say it's probably this may be my like inexperience with Days Gone compared to the thousands of hours I've played in Resident Evil, but it feels tougher jumping in to this one without having finished Days Gone, just because I'm unfamiliar with a lot of the weapons and perks you can buy off the wall. Like there's different things you run around, and as you kill the zombies, you collect their ears, and then you can trade them in for like upgrades or different weapons and perks and such. And so I'm like unfamiliar with that. So I'm like still trying to wrap my brain around like what is the meta build? How do I min max this for the best? Where's the best choke points? Whereas Mercenaries was kind of, hey, you know what you kind of have, and like it's doable if you have the skill to just like right out the gate. As well as like, because like Mercenaries let you customize some upgrade things, right? I believe it's been a while since I've dived into that one for 4.
It's been a minute for me too. No, like it's interesting though. Like I really, as far as remasters go, like it seems like they really did a lot of cool stuff with this one. So that's tempting. Also, I love the idea of unlocking this dude with no shirt on, because he's wearing like 5 shirts. Like if you did strip poker with him, he would win.
Just even if he lost more hands than you, he would.
Yeah, no, he'd like you could get him theoretically naked, and he'd have like 3 shirts on still.
Hey, he mentions multiple times when you're playing through the game that he hates the rain, so he just wears lots of layers because he just doesn't like to be cold.
It's a pity that none of them are waterproof. Like, has he? Anyway, and also like 3 of them have the sleeves cut off. I know we need to go into this. The man, whatever. Anyway,
he doesn't like the cold. That's what
vest dressed, I guess. All right. So while we're talking about the hottest PS4 games to get resurrected this year, we also got Until Dawn in movie form, and Jada, you and I went and saw it, and it is
it's a movie, y'all. It is a movie that you can go see in theaters.
It is a feature film.
And it uses the name of a PlayStation game. Max, what were your thoughts? I'll let you go. I've been talking a lot. What were your thoughts on it?
So the thing I realized is that this is a great adaptation of Until Dawn's box art, because it is about people trying to stay up until dawn, and there's a magic skull hourglass, which is on the cover of the PS4 game. And I feel like they looked at that and they were like, Eureka, that's it. That's the plot of the movie. Otherwise, it really doesn't have much to do with the game itself. I mean, effectively, they're trying to do like a horror Groundhog's Day type of thing, where it's like, you know, people keep reliving the same night, and it kind of subverts the whole thing with Until Dawn is like, you know, when characters die, they die for good. And in this case, it's the exact opposite, where people keep dying repeatedly in increasingly gruesome ways, but then they just reset. And it's like, it's an interesting way of kind of shifting things with the, you know, because in video games, you're so used to being like, oh, you die, you just reload. And in movies, it's the other way around. And so it's, you know, switching that, which again, novel idea, execution, in the you know, the production sense, not in the murder sense. The murder sense, the executions are pretty good, but the how they executed the movie itself, honestly, they probably should have taken it out back and shot it too. Not in the backlot sense where they shoot it with cameras, but with a firearm. No,
give it the Lassie treatment.
It's God, it's just it's frustrating because like there's a lot of almost stuff in there. There's a few parts where it's like really fun and goofy, and there's a few parts where it's like honestly kind of gruesome and scary, but it never really goes properly in any one direction. And as far as it doing anything for people who like the source material, it has a couple of the most like half-assed, tacked on Easter eggs, nods, references, whatever, but in ways that almost kind of undermine what they're trying to do. So yeah,
it's one of those things where they made a movie and they couldn't decide if they wanted to attract a new audience or like pay respect and invite the diehard fans of this game. Like it's stuck in the middle for most of the movie. And that's a bummer. I do think it was a clever way to adapt the game and adapting the title Until Dawn. I think that was a very clever pitch that they revealed in the trailer. But there was so many moments where I felt like I was kind of cheated out of what could have been a cooler moment. I feel like they didn't go big enough with some of the scary and creepy things. And there's a decent like plot kind of weaving beneath, but like it's nothing that I would personally have like recommended right off the bat to like that you need to see this in theaters. Like I'll probably give it another rewatch when it comes to streaming just to see some things I may have missed while watching it at the theater, but it was definitely just very middle of the road, which is a bummer coming off like it was. I think it was harder for me because I just came off of watching Sinners the weekend before, and it's like that is not the movie to follow up after watching Sinners in theaters.
You mean a good movie based on original ideas isn't as good as a bad adaptation of a PS4 game? No kidding. It's good.
Crazy.
Heavens.
It's crazy, man.
I got a question.
Shoot.
Yes.
So obviously I'm not expecting this to be absolute cinema or whatever, but if I like really stupid horror movies that are campy and cheesy, whatever, would I like this movie, or is this just something that even if I was a fan of just horror, I'd be like, whatever.
Again, it's like it has some almost moments. It has a few parts that like when this comes to streaming, I'm not going to rewatch it, but I will find one scene and hopefully clip it out, or someone else will, and I can send it to people because it makes me laugh very hard.
Is it the scene with the drawing?
Oh my god, I forgot about that drawing. There's oh man, I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but there's a scene with the drawing you see that's very in like main perspective of the shot, and me and Max are sitting next to each other and we just start laughing because we're like, they really put that in there.
I think they meant for it to be an Easter egg of some sort, but it read very differently. So look out for that. No, it's actually like a kind of major plot point I don't want to get into, but it's just I love just like really just comically sudden violence, like in horror movies, where it's just something that like it's a jump scare. It's not scary. It's just like jump gore, or it's just like something that like I think like, you know, Scanners or whatever, or oh my god, there's an old Wes Craven movie called Deadly Friend. If anyone wants to have a good laugh, and this again, could be construed as a spoiler, go on YouTube and type in Deadly Friend basketball scene, and you will have a weird afternoon. It's one of those things I'm just giggling thinking about it. So yeah, Until Dawn has a couple things that are like very funny. Like it could be a really fun watch with friends. I think. Yeah. You know, we saw it in like a press screening basically, which is not, you know, not entirely like I was friends with a bunch of people in the theater, but it wasn't like we were there for fun. Like it was I could see it being like a fun midnight showing or slumber party movie or whatever, but like, yeah.
Yeah. I think the
don't show the basketball scene. You'll ruin it for
don't show
everyone.
the basketball scene.
Or we could
Save
watch
it,
the basketball
save
scene. I don't know. Should we watch? It's no fun for the people.
Yeah, let's
listening
watch
home.
it.
Oh,
the audio listeners.
no, you need the audio too.
Yourself.
It's too exciting. Everyone's homework is to go watch the basketball scene from Deadly Friend. It's a good time. It's that movie is also just completely unhinged. It's like if Wes Craven tried to make Short Circuit and misunderstood the assignment, it's a treat. So if you're gonna watch Until Dawn, maybe go watch Wes Craven's Deadly Friend instead. If you want a bad campy movie, yeah.
I think the thing that made it worse for me was just how dumb they made all of the characters in the movie. Like, I get it; it's a common trope in horror movies how like all the characters do dumb things, but these characters realistically just felt dumber than most. I don't know. Would you call them protagonists in a horror movie when people are all dying? I don't know if they're still technically protagonists.
They're definitely that's actually a good question. They are protagonists, but they're like you're not necessarily rooting for them. You're kind of like they're just victims.
So like the victims, I guess we'll refer to them as victims in a horror movie. Like these were the dumbest ones. The whole premise of like they realize that they're restarting, that time is restarting, and they're reliving this night. From the second time, they all like retain their memory and realize it. And at no point, or maybe I think at one point, they do something where it's like, hey, we should probably take notes or like try to get better at this. It's just, they just do different things every time but don't strategize. And I don't know, maybe it's just the gamer brain in me, but it was just, they felt like the dumbest Groundhog Day victims I've ever seen in a Groundhog Day, like, movie.
Yeah, and again,
so
it's
this
like
is a worse Happy Death Day.
Yes.
Yeah,
I would say that for sure.
Yeah. So what's a drag though is like there's a story going on right now about how the writers of the original Until Dawn, like they're not giving any kind of acknowledgement whatsoever, and they're kind of like, I mean, they don't have to, but it would have been nice, and it's kind of like a big, screw you. And they go into this. There's a Hollywood Reporter piece up about it right now, and they talk about how like there were multiple scripts pitched for this movie. Like there were a pile of scripts floating around for it, and they were involved with one of them. Like they pitched Sony on their version of the movie, which I don't know what they were looking for. They framed it as like, not to keep harping on Wes Craven, but he is a master of horror. But they compared it to be like Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which is like a very interesting meta horror movie that's like self-aware and does a bunch of kind of like very, very clever stuff with what your expectations are. And like that seems like what this could have been. And I mean, I guess it almost was. And it's just, I don't know what the end result is. Just kind of like it's a who is this for? But the guys who worked on it were like this is I guess for the amount of work that went into it, it's like it's not just some like throwaway phoned in thing. Like clearly Sony's been kicking it around behind the scenes for enough time that you'd think that they would have landed on something better. But I don't know. See also Craven the Hunter, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ideas in this movie, but they just don't execute them properly. I think it's the biggest takeaway that me and Max kind of have for this.
I mean, if you want to watch
minus some of the executions are sometimes on point.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna watch Cabin in the Woods or watch Happy Death Day, or watch Wes Craven's Deadly Friend,
I never need a reason to recommend Cabin in the Woods. Just masterful.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Campy horror.
So yeah, I don't know. It's a drag. Like I on the one hand, you've got something like a Minecraft movie, which is blowing up, and because it was clearly made with some degree of love or attention to detail, people seem to like it. Again, it's kind of all over the place, but like it seems at the very least earnest. I still haven't seen it, but I also don't care about Minecraft, so it's like one of those I'm fascinated by it. But they apparently also let kind of Jared Hess, do his weird thing. Meanwhile, you've got Neil Druckmann, co-writing The Last of Us season 2. That's awesome. I don't know. Like we've seen there's more than enough potential for good video game adaptations. So like I kind of am just like, why did you, why waste it? Like why blow it on this? So who knows? Anyway, before we wrap things up, Jada, we're talking about Game
We're
Club.
talking about scary things. Beyond Game Club. So we're wrapping up this month of April. We were playing Borderlands. Bloodborne, different B game with lots of blood. Yeah, Bloodborne. I finished it over the weekend, picked up the Platinum Trophy as well, went through all the Chalice dungeons. The only thing I haven't done is the Old Hunters DLC. Not sure when I'll get to that, but
You didn't beat it then. That doesn't count at all.
It's DLC. It didn't come out with the main game, so yes, it counts. And the Platinum Trophy popped without it, so there.
It's got its own set of trophies, and it's scary.
It does. And Brian was telling me in our planning meeting that he wants to hear about my experience fighting the Orphan of Kos, which is supposedly one of the hardest Souls bosses.
He's awful. So, he's a nasty little guy.
So I am looking forward to like seeing what that fight looks like. But from that stance, I felt like most of the bosses in Bloodborne just kind of let me down. They're great designs and they're really creepy and ugly looking to their point. That's their point of being very ugly looking. But I felt like I walked through most of them pretty easily. There was a couple of them, like the Thumerian Descendant, which was one of the faster enemies, as well as the Thumerian Queen.
Who's
the lady? Who's at the bottom of the Chalice dungeon? I can't remember.
Is that the poison floor one or whatever?
No.
That probably doesn't narrow it down.
The one that's after the poison one is I think it's like Amygdala or Magdalos or something like that. Is after you're going through like the poison swamps.
What's the most disappointing Bloodborne boss? Which one were you like, really?
Honestly, the most disappointing boss was the final like secret ending, true ending boss. Because I literally walked through him, and that was literally what I said. I was like, "That's it? What?" Like it was very cool boss, but man, just no threat whatsoever. And now keep in mind, I did go with an arcane build, which I found out is very OP. Just lighting everything on fire in Bloodborne apparently is the solution. But man, it was that final boss was. I took it down the first try, like with no effort. And so that was a letdown for me. I think one of my favorite bosses though was I actually really like the Mikolash fight, which is the one where you're running through all jumps into the mirror and it's like all the
he's great.
That fight was great. I really like that. I wish there was more fights like that had the more kind of mechanics and stuff that I had to initiate. Granted, not all Souls games are known for that, or all Souls bosses are known for that. I just felt like most of the bosses in this game, they moved too slow to where it was too easy to dodge most of their attacks, where I didn't have that issue. Unlike something in like a Dark Souls 3 or even an Elden Ring, where there's faster moving bosses, that would trip me up more often. So, but I will say, to kind of close off Bloodborne, I actually really love that we played it for Beyond Game Club this month, because it gave me a new appreciation for this game. It was previously pretty low on my Souls lists, but it's moved up to like kind of middle of the pack for me now. And I understand. I've always understood why people really enjoy it. But I now understand why people absolutely love this game. I think it does storytelling better than most other Souls games. I think the NPCs are interesting enough to where, and their storylines are short enough to where you don't feel like too scattered between each of their different plot points to see all of their storyline stuff. I feel like it does a really good job of balancing that and kind of keeping everything at the forefront of your mind, which is very important in a Souls game when there's so many very loose understandings and random lore drops of various things in other Souls games. I think Bloodborne does the best job of kind of keep giving it a nice like tight package to like understand it, at least on a surface level. I'm sure there are deeper things that I didn't like understand or explore deep enough, but the surface level stuff I really enjoyed, and I thought they did a really good job of that. So very happy we got to play that.
Did you read the item description on the shield where it says people who play with shields are losers?
Yes, I did. I saw that it was like for like the weak or something like that, or like the desperate or something like that. I was like, yeah, well, I didn't need to use a shield anyways. I think I ended up only like using the gun parry, because I know that was like one of my biggest gripes at the beginning of the month. I think I ended up only using the gun parry like, I don't know, maybe 10 times throughout the game. I just ignored it. So But yeah, Bloodborne. It's a good game, y'all. If you haven't played it,
I'm glad someone finally said
maybe
it.
go
You know,
play it. Yeah, finally somebody said it. After 10 years, maybe they said it.
Nick, you a
it needed
Bloodborne
to be
guy?
said.
I got about halfway through it, and then just Souls-like games. I play all of them, and I'm just never good enough to beat them.
Where'd you get stuck in Bloodborne?
Who's the guy in like the graveyard? I guess that's not even halfway through. That's still in the beginning.
Oh, that's a big. Oh man, yeah.
Father Gascoigne.
Yeah. He kept
Yeah,
beating me
that's-
up, and I was like, all right, it's too scary.
That's fair.
He was pretty tough early on. I think he took me like 5 or 6 tries before I figured out his patterns and such. But yeah, he'd chunk you out real quick if you weren't careful.
I mean, he's such a pain in the ass because it's like, the way those games are built is kind of like, it's like the approach of parenting where it's like, yeah, let your kid touch the hot pan on the stove. They will learn that way. It's like, not okay. It's mean. It's not the nice way to do it, but you're kind of like, okay, well, you get your ass kicked enough, and then eventually you beat the cleric beast. You're like, all right, cool, I got this. And then you go and meet Father Gascoigne, and he just is horrible. He's a terrible man. Yeah.
Those were the toughest fights. Anytime you had to fight anybody who had the gun mechanic as well, because I felt like they parried me way more than I got to parry them.
I did not platinum Bloodborne or go back and beat it entirely.
Fake fan.
Because I'm a fake casual scrub loser gamer who likes shields. I actually don't like shields. I think it's cool to shoot a werewolf in the head with a musket. I think it's hilarious. But I went back and I like jumped into a save file I'd started up, and I was like, where am I? What could have caused me to stop playing this file? And sure enough, it was like right before Father Gascoigne. The thing that sucks about that is there's no like. And again, this is something where like Elden Ring spoiled me. Is there's like what do you call it? Like lanterns or your little lamps? Like they're frequently inconveniently far from where you need to go and die again.
Yeah,
and I'm
the
just like,
runbacks were pretty terrible.
Yeah, it's just like I don't like it's not a challenge to run past like 2 dudes who try to kill you with bricks and then wait for an elevator and then go somersault past the flaming ball. Like that's fine. I'll do that. I just don't want to do it a bunch of times. Like, just put me outside. Let me just respawn right outside the dude's house and then fight him again and play a music box and upset him and hit him over the head. But like that said, I jumped in there and I was like, I don't know. I think the first time I fought him, it was an ordeal. It was a whole thing. And I just, really just brute forced my way past it, or really, I might have summoned. I can't even remember. But like, I was like, it insisted on finishing him. And like, I went back, post Dark Souls 3, post Elden Ring, and it was like, it is that wonderful sensation of having got good. Like I got better. I'm definitely I'm more accustomed to playing these games, and it's like really funny to be like, oh, like this guy, like I got him down to like a half an inch of health, and I was like, that's cool. And I wasn't even without even really really doing the thing where you like lean forward in your chair. Like I was kind of just like taking a swing at him and seeing what happened, and it was cool, and I love that game, and I want to go back and do an arcane build someday. But I'm also, again,
it's a lot of fun. There's
that hesitation of like, do I want to start a new file when I could just maybe just light candles and hope that they re-release it, and then I can start a new file in that. Who knows?
Yeah.
I did reread a bunch of Lovecraft, which was fun, and looking at that through a Bloodborne lens, because I don't know, guy was an asshole, but like that's some good writing out there. Anyway, on that note. We
just gotta announce for what we're playing for May. That's the only thing.
Did we announce it? I thought we did.
Beyond Game. Yeah, we're announcing it now.
Okay, we're announcing it now. Okay, what is this month's Beyond Game Club?
So this month for Beyond Game Club, we are going to be playing the not so indie darling that people loved over the last year or so, Dave the Diver. So that's what we're going to be playing. We're inviting you, all of our fans, to play along with us, and we'll have an article up on IGN. We'll have some posts in our Facebook Beyond group where you can chat about it. But yeah, we're going to be playing Dave the Diver. We're going to be hunting fish and sharks and serving them up as sushi in a restaurant, all with some pretty cool little pixelated cutscenes and such. This game, I started it for the first time, I think like maybe 2-3 months ago. And really it grabbed me. So if you haven't played this, definitely check it out. It's in the PS Game Pass or the PS Plus subscriptions, so you can definitely check it out there, so you don't have to worry about buying it to play along with us. But yeah, I highly recommend this one. This has been a lot of fun, and I'm looking to dive deeper and understand more of the secrets of this world, because it's got that little bit of a roguelike to it. But yeah, it's pretty good.
Nice.
Have you guys messed around with Dave the Diver yet?
Love Dave the Diver.
I love this game. It's so much fun. I love games like it's kind of like a Moonlighter, where it's like you go in dungeons, do adventures and stuff, and then you come back and you like operate a store, and it's 2 games in one, but it's a great time.
It's so charming.
And the fact that your bar keeps like upgrading and adding more stuff, like there's just I really like that sim element that they have to it for it. But
it does something that is so rare in this day and age, is that it makes a spectacle of new little cutscenes, and it does such a good job of kind of like trickling those out as a little treat. But like, you know, back in the olden days, the days of yore, it's like getting a cutscene, getting a pre-rendered animated anything in the middle of your game was like, oh wait, shut up, I want to see what happens. And in this, it's like you unlock a new recipe and you get this cool new animation, and it's like they're, you know, the rest of the game is like very, you know, like low poly. And again, it's a pixelated, you know, little anime you know, interstitial thing, but it's just, they're really charming. And yeah, lovely game. I'm also stoked to check out the Like a Dragon DLC that they put out, Ichiban's Holiday. So if any Yakuza fans haven't played that, that's an option. You can just hang out with Ichiban and catch fish, I guess. So there it is. Well, thank you both for hanging out and talking. We got to wrap things up. But before we go, I want to shout out what's going on over on IGN's sister site, Humble. Right now, you can score a bunch of awesome games for super cheap, and it all helps support some great causes. Just yesterday, the XCOM bundle dropped, which will get you every single XCOM game ever made, which is XCOM Chimera Squad, XCOM 2, and all the DLC. The Bureau, XCOM Declassified, that's the third-person shooter one with great art direction. The rest of it, XCOM Enemy Unknown plus DLC, both incredible games, plus all the classic games, Enforcer, Interceptor, Apocalypse, Terror from the Deep, and the original XCOM UFO Defense. Again, $8 for all that. And if you'd rather just shoot stuff in the face in real time, up close and personal, you can also snag the id and Friends bundle for $28, which includes all of the Doom and Wolfenstein games, modern and classic, and gives you a discount on Doom: The Dark Ages when that comes out very soon. So yeah, go check that out, humble.com. And on that note, from all of us here to all of us elsewhere, beyond.
Beyond.